Welcome back to my game dev series. So in this video I first want to show some capability that I added to my game between videos, as I tend to do. So in this one I added the concept of doors. So if I just run the game quick, you'll see there's my funny looking door. Let me adjust the sound to, I noticed that the in-game sound was a little bit higher than it needed to be in my last video, so it was washing out my narration a little bit. If we load that up again, that should be a bit better. So there's my door. It looks like it doesn't go anywhere because it's just floating, but for testing purposes that is just fine. So if I walk up to it and I press up again, that'll take me to my next room, or my next map per se. So if I go back down here and I press down again, that pops me back out in this map. So a couple things to note here. First is that a teleport, or a door teleport I suppose, is triggered based on which direction you are facing and going into it. So if I'm over here and I'm facing the door and I'm pressing the key to walk that direction, it's not getting triggered. But if I am up and basically colliding with it in this direction and I press north or up, then it will trigger that teleport and it'll take me to this map. Same thing, but just the inverse is true here. If I'm standing in this position and the door is right in front of me and I press down or south, it will teleport me. Let's see what else we have. We'll load up types, see if there's anything pertinent in there. So here's our door struct. You can see it holds a couple values. So connect to will be the map name. Triggered direction is what I just talked about. That's if you are colliding with the door and you keep pushing that certain direction, that will trigger the teleport. Entry direction, that's basically the inverse. So if you teleported to a different map and that map is basically teleporting you back to where this starting door was, that's going to be the entry direction that you'll be facing. And now that I'm thinking about it, I may go back and change that, because we should essentially be able to derive that just by inverting triggered direction, I think. That should be good for most, if not all, cases. I do have this concept of triggered by, and I'm not currently using this, but the difference would be whether you are walking into something versus pressing the action key to trigger it. And the action key could be like you pick up a specific item and that teleports you somewhere, or something along those lines. Door link ID is also a string, and if we look at one of our sample doors here in the JSON, the door link ID is XY value with a colon in between. So that corresponds with the key ID as such in the map that it joins to. So if we look at this example here, our connect to is house, so that'll connect to house JSON, and then the door link key is 912, which of course corresponds with the key of the door there. And finally we have door link position, and that basically tells you where the player should be in the map when you come back through that door. So you went through this door in the first place, it took you to test. Now if you come back through test and you land in this door, you will be in this X and Y position on the map. So pretty straightforward. Again, I could probably derive this just from the string name or key of the door, but then you have to do string splitting and all kinds of weirdness, and C++ honestly is not, it doesn't have great utilities for doing that. I suppose if you wanted to use like boost or something, you could do that, but I really don't see a need to implement any boost features in my game code at this point, and I probably will not in the future. So for convenience sake, that is there, and that would be easy enough to derive from clicking on a map tile in my map editor. So this of course is not really the kind of stuff you will want to manually code into these JSON files, but right now for testing purposes, I'm doing that, and it's fine for one or two doors. But once you get a lot of maps and a lot of connections, this isn't the kind of thing you want to do. Anyhow, I'm leveraging the trigger teleport function, and one thing that I needed to do was pass in an optional door pointer. So I'm setting it to null pointer by default because I didn't want to go back and update all of the places where teleport is called, because a lot of places it's not being triggered by a door right now. It's just something in the game, you talk to someone or something else happens and it'll call that function. So a bit different functionality there. And if we are passing in a door, so if it's not a null pointer, I'm basically making a copy of that door, because that pointer is essentially going to get blown away when we reload the map. So that's what's going on there. And then if this is a door that we're using, it's going to set a couple things. It's first going to set the sprite's facing direction based on the entry direction variable there, and then it's going to set the map position accordingly. So one thing I think I would like to do is get rid of this entry direction variable, because like I said, I think we can derive that. So I'm just going to quick delete that from our struct and from the JSON parsing function there, or deserializing, I suppose I should say. And then where we use entry direction, I'll remove that from my JSON as well. Save that. Entry direction. Save that. Now I think what I'd like to do is just open up my utility namespace, because this might be a function that we can leverage again. We already have kind of a directional function, face first towards second, and that is used at the beginning in the main map area to face the intro skeleton towards the player as you walk around, just to give some kind of indication that, hey, maybe you should go talk to him and see what he's doing, since he's not trying to kill you. So I'll just put something down here, and that'll return the direction, and we'll call that reverse direction. So we'll pass in a facing direction, or we'll just call that start, I guess. So types, direction. I'll just do a simple switch on this. So not if, I can code case direction north. Actually, I don't really need to set a variable. I can just return from our case. Return direction. Sorry, I need to preface that. Oh, this is just going sideways on me, isn't it? My laptop is actually on my lap here, so that's not highly helping my case. So return self, case, self, return north, case, east, east with a T, return west, and west, return east. Actually, will this compile? Every case is returning something, but outside of the statement, we're not returning anything. I think the compiler might complain about that. But let me just plug this in. So the door we are checking from is door dot trigger direction. Build that and see what happens. I feel like util might blow up on us, but maybe it's smart enough to. No, it's not smart enough to. Not all code paths return a value. That's fine. So we do need to put this back in. That's fine. Return direction. Let's build this again. It should be fine now. Run that guy. So if we go back out, yep, there we go. Looks like that. Nope, that is not correct actually. So I'm facing the opposite direction of where I want to. Reverse direction. Start. So what stupidity did I do? I mean, what happens if I just do that? Oops. Rebuilding would help. Now, which door am I actually passing in? That I should know, although I apparently don't. So, if we're at a door, we take a pointer to that door. Yeah, so this is the one that we're going through in the first place, so I feel like what I had before should have been correct. Although that does seem to work. Okay, I mean, that's fine. I'll have to do a couple test cases here, but we will retain that reverse direction function for now anyway, just because that could be useful in the future. Now the question is, why does that work? Well, I mean, it works because you're still traveling in the same direction in which the door was going. So we wouldn't need to do a reverse in the first place. I mean, that makes sense. I'm not exactly sure why I was thinking that. But that being said, we still chopped out an unnecessary piece of data there. So that's good. Great. So I think let's see. I think I'm going to cut this video short at that. So now that we have doors working pretty solidly, I was kind of just taking that as a detour because even if we had like a item menu or inventory menu, we wouldn't really be able to do anything with that in the first place, right? So you could scroll through your items, you could look at them or whatever you want to do, but at some point we want to have somewhere to go in order to do something with those items. And so I thought I would kind of focus a little bit on that functionality first. Just because you might want to go into a shop and sell items, or buy items, or whatever the case may be. And the ability to do things with items to some extent dictates what type of UI you'll have, right? Because just being able to scroll through items and drop them or look at statistics is great, but if you ultimately want to be able to buy and sell them as well, you might want to take some of that functionality into account right off the bat, because then you can show the monetary value or whatever else you might want to do, have some type of UI for being able to trigger a sale of those items or things like that. So that is still up in the air right now, but at least at this point I'm a little step closer to having the ability to go somewhere in game and interact with other actors and then buy or sell from them or pick up things from them and have them in my inventory. So yes, I think we will move on to some type of UI coming up here really near in the future, but until then, I thank you for watching this relatively short video, and hopefully you'll stick around to the next one.